What's going on, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Snapchat. We got a brand new card coming out this week in Malekith, and Alex and I have way different opinions on the card. Now that we know that you can see the card that is revealed, we definitely have a lot to break down in the synergies and the decks and our overall star ratings on him and the Spotlight Cash. We're also going to be talking about a really fun subject in overrated and underrated cards that we think get way too much play, that suck, and ones that are not being played enough and are pretty damn good. And then lastly, we're going to be playing a game against Alex, the popularity contest, the most played cards in Marvel Snap versus the worst played or least played within the game. And I think there's going to be a lot of data, a lot of stats, a lot of fun that might surprise you. We're going to talk about that all today and more on this episode of the Snapchat. And as always, I am joined by the one and only, the beautiful Alex Coccia. Hello, my friend. Welcome, guys, to yet another Snapchat. I'm coming straight off of a rebuilt computer, new power supply. Some of you guys might notice there was a lack of videos this week, but we're good. We're back up. We're rebuilt. I got to clean it too. We're ready for action.
Buddy, I can't believe that that your PC died. Like, you have some of the worst tech luck I've ever seen, considering you have like multiple PCs. Your setup is so crazy and beautiful, and yet somehow things just manage to fall apart. But in the meantime, you managed to release what is my favorite Marvel Snap video I've seen in a long time. I got to give you kudos, buddy, for your kind of look through the cards of history and how you talked about, like, that was so unbelievably good. And I got to tell you guys, if you've not seen it yet, you have to watch it. That is genuinely high quality, high effort content that we don't see in Marvel Snap anymore, dude. You absolutely crushed it.
Dude, thank you for saying this, because, okay, so the way I do my videos, I never have backup videos. Like, I never have videos in the chamber, like, ready to rock. You can actually, like, watch the video, and I talk about, like, a Hitmonkey, like, the stats that are so wrong, because it was, like, 3 months in the making, and I've had that stored, ready to release with a couple of edits needing to be done, and luckily, I had that to release, and, dude, it means a lot. I love doing that type of content. Funny enough, hey, it is what it is. It's a 10 and 10 on my side, so it was actually, that's bad, YouTube terms. So the views weren't there, unfortunately, but if you guys have it, it's probably my favorite video that I've done. Like, it was so cool. The hardest part was sourcing all the footage and finding the footage. Heck, you got to call out, from the rare Kitty Pride gameplay that you had back in the day, to Leader, to Arrow. It was really cool to just go back and kind of look at what Marvel Snap was and led all the way up to where it is now. And man, it was a blast. So I appreciate you calling that out, man.
Buddy, it's just one of those things that as a content creator myself, I was watching and I was like, the amount of effort that Cozy puts into things, and we get so used to like your production quality and stuff like that, but it is so time consuming and even just mentally exhausting to actually plan videos like that, go back, get that footage, source that footage, plan out what a video like that looks like. And that is what I think we take for granted in Marvel Snap a bit. Like, we take for granted the fact that you generate quality content of that caliber that, like, we don't see anywhere else. We're not getting that anywhere else. So if you have not watched it yet, I'm actually going to demand that you watch it all the way through, because it is an absolute banger. And it's one of those things where, like, you kind of get a good picture of where we're going when you understand where we've been. And so I like it from like that recollection standpoint, a good look back at the past.
Well, A, you're the best hype man a friend could ask for, so thank you, dude. I appreciate it. B, it was cool to see like how the errors or the overpowered cards have kind of trimmed down a bit as we've progressed, right? The amount of them, considering I think I probably left out like a couple in there. Maybe Hela could have snuck in, Miss Marvel. You guys will have to go back and see. But the thing is, man, at the end of the day, I am in Marvel Snap, the only content out there, and the ones that people do to get, views in YouTube, that's what a lot of people like to chase, to go for, are deck guides. Like, that's what they do. And really, we've seen so many decks out there that I wanted, A, to try something different, and B, as we're kind of moving forward to past the 2-year mark, Deck Pocket just came out. A lot of creators going over to there. I don't know about you. I myself have been asked a billion times, am I going to cover Pocket? Am I going to go? Because I have not shown any video, any interest, other than just a little bit. And I have Pokemon stuff in my background forever. And really, guys, to answer that, I think the game's cool. I think the collecting aspect's really fun. For me personally, I'm going, I've got Snap, and then I'm going to be going all in on Marvel Rivals. That's kind of the game that I love, and the video content that I want to make, quite honestly. But hey, never say never. Never say never. I might do Pokemon Pocket. We'll have to see. Time will tell. But right now, man, my attention is on Marvel Snap and making the best content I can.
And I mean, that's the right approach, right? Even for me, like I was super excited to give Pocket a shot. I had early access for that initial launch window there, and I wanted to cover some content here and there. But at the end of the day, it was one of those things where I was like, I like the game. I think there's a lot of value to it. I like what it does. But in terms of gameplay, I don't think there's a replacement for Marvel Snap out there right now. And Marvel Snap does have a lot of competition. Like you mentioned Pokemon Pocket, that's kind of the big elephant in the room, but you got like the Bazaar. Hearthstone just dropped a major expansion as well. And it's just, you got Call of Duty. It's like, it's the season. It is the season for massive launches. Vampire Survivors dropped Ode to Castlevania for true gamers out there that have good taste in games. There's a lot out there.
My favorite card game, Black Ops 6. Yeah, no, no, but it is true. I think it's good. It's really healthy for Snap to have competition, and it's showing. It's showing. Now, if you look at like Google Trends, Snap is still like double of what it, Pokemon Pocket is and was. However, it needs that competition, and I think they've nailed down a couple really cool things there. You got a 2-year product against a 1-month-old product, so we're going to have to see where it goes. Not knocking if you play it at all. Dude, it hits my nostalgia heavy. And opening the packs, they nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. And keeping my eyes on it to see where that game does go. But as far as gameplay, yeah, man, I love it. I hope it's a wake-up call, too, to the Snap team. I've sent so many countless messages. At this point, guys, I've almost given up. Just kind of begging the Snap devs to reconnect with some of the creators here and to really put their best foot forward on the next few months, because they're going to be an important few months for Snap. Maybe I'll readdress this in the new year, but I definitely think we've got some things that we really need for the game coming in January. But what I will say is, just because my computer was having troubles didn't mean I didn't get to play a lot of it. I played a lot of Snap this opening season between the Surtur and Frigga. Just, man, one super fun card, one dominant card. We talked about all that last week on the Snapchat. Longer intro today, guys. Longer intro. We got a lot to talk about, so we might as well just hop right in it. Alex, we know what we're talking about over here. What are we talking about on your side of the Snapchat?
On my side of the Snapchat, Cozy, we're going to be taking a review look at both Surtur and Frigga, two very interesting cards. And as you said, one of them might just be dominating everything right now. We'll also be talking about series drops, what's coming, and what we hope as a wish list should be dropping. And then finally, as always, our Snapchat mailbag.
Well, let's get right into it, my guy. We've got Malekith, and will he be mid or mighty? Credit to Alex for that just banger title there. My title was going to be, will he be as bad as Thor the Dark World? We'll have to see. I do know last week when we talked about this card, I was more for it. You were definitely against it. I think it was your worst card of the month, and I had it towards the top. So I am interested in A, your shift. B, we did find out some new info here, so let me read it out. 4-cost, 6-power card. On reveal, friends, add a 1, 2, or 3-cost card from your deck here, but don't reveal it until the game ends. And Alex and I were kind of on the fence. Does that mean it's going to show to the player itself, to me who played it, or keep it hidden for everybody? It's confirmed, as we kind of thought, that it will be able to be viewable from the person who played Malekith, which is obviously a significant increase in his overall just viability and competitive play. And I've seen a lot about this card. I've seen stuff all over the place. Excited to break this down. Alex, before we jump into him, he goes alongside Thena and Valentina. What are your thoughts on the Spotlight?
So right off the top, I think Thena's a must-own. I think that card's incredible. I think you need to have it. Valentina is, no. It's just like, it's unfortunate. It actually makes a list or two here and there. There was a moment in traditional Loki before they destroyed what Loki is and just made it an Airstream card where you were seeing Valentina there. Yeah, but Valentina's not a thing anymore. It's kind of, honestly, it kind of sucks. Like, what a wasted Spotlight cash there, unless they change it in OTA or something like that. But yeah, Athena's a must-have in my opinion. With regards to Malekith, so I came in at 2 to 3 stars. I said 2 if you can't see the card, 3 if you can. As you just said in the intro, we did get some clarification from the team that you can actually see the card played. So not played, but the card present on the board. So you can see it, your opponent can't. That's definitely a 3-star category for me. I still have some reservations. I still will rank it near the bottom, and that's not to say like, oh, it's a horrible card.
Yeah.
I'm just more excited about some of the other ones, right? And so I will kind of stick with my overall like ranking order that we had done near the end of the episode last week, but I'm gonna go 3 stars here. It definitely is better knowing that we can see what's been revealed, and we'll have to go from there.
Yeah, so, and on my end, I'm going to stick with the 4.5 that I went with last week too. I do have some of those reservations, if you will, about some things and how they're played down, because immediately, for me, I'll start with the cons because I have a lot of pros to talk about here. The cons to me is, we do call it a deck thinner in a sense, kind of like American Chavez. So this is a pro, if you will, too. But he will thin your deck for the last 2 turns if you do get to play him. The problem is that about half of the deck is going to be either something that you drew in your hand or that's on one of the locations, right? So it's like, at that point, how many 1, 2s, or 3 are there? But I think there's enough that you can build around to kind of negate that con. That's about it. I mean, outside of just the decks that, Surfer, we can talk about. I think that's a strong deck for him, but it's like, okay, well, if you think about it, if you get any 3 cost out there, sure, it's going to be okay. It doesn't get the Surfer boost. If you get Surfer out of all the 3 costs, then yeah, that's going to be a fine addition. So there's some decks that are going to be a little bit awkward with the way that he plays down, and this may not be the perfect meta for him, but that's about it as I got on the con side.
Yeah, I was like, one of the cons I think is the consistency side, right? It's like, how do you build a deck that really takes advantage of Malekith? And we always get into this trap where like a new card comes out and you like hyper fixate on like going absolutely bonkers with it. And when sometimes they're just support cards that don't need to be the star in the show, right? You know what I mean? So Malekith, I wonder if we're going to overbuild the decks for it. And realistically, if you just add some value to a deck with Malekith, it's just fine. Pulling an extra 1 or 2 drop that has a good hit or something like that is good. But if you want to really get into like some combo based stuff, I was thinking about like, okay, one of the early designs that I was working on that I'm not ready yet with, but I was like, okay, what if you use Quicksilver Domino?
Yep.
And like to ensure that like
too.
you're thinning what it could hit, right? And what if you're running things like Mystique in your deck? And then what if you go something like turn 6, sorry, you play like a Ronin or a Devil Dinosaur or like a traditional ongoing piece that you want to often protect. You play that, and then Mystique will reveal on turn 6 under Malekith, right? It should hit the card that you played last, which will be the ongoing card, right? Or Iron Man, or whatever it is. But then again, what if you just draw into the Mystique? You need some sort of backup plan, right? So that's where I'm kind of stuck with the design of like, how can we build Malekith without going all in and getting silly?
Yeah, a lot at me here, and let me break it into pieces. Number one, yes, I agree. I think we're going to probably see a large part of the community kind of try to go all in on him and do some really funky, crazy stuff that I'm going to bring up, man. We got to talk about the potential here. But I want to talk more about, too, that decks that just can't miss, right? The ones that, dude, you're okay. You're playing a 4-6 body that's looking like it's going to get well above that average 4-10. It takes 2 spots up, but that's kind of to your advantage, the way that it'll play out. How many decks can we create where you don't have that much of a risk? And funny enough, you brought up, I had this later on in my combos, you brought up Quicksilver Domino, but then you went to Mystique. I just want to talk about Quicksilver Domino in a Wiccan deck. I was like, hold up now. So you got those 2. Those are only 1s and 2s. You have a couple strong 3s in there. Strong 3s. And then you have Wiccan. And then you have Malekith. So you have, no matter what, the strong 3 being played out. If you do get Malekith down, you have a Wiccan to potentially boost up as well. I thought that was a really cool design that limits that risk, if you will. And Malekith, not that he's anything like him, but he kind of reminds me of Wiccan in a sense of just like how he's going to be played. A little weird. A little non-traditional, if you will. And does he have a place? Wiccan certainly found his kind of niche within the meta. So I do like that you brought up Quicksilver Domino, because I thought that too, but with the Wiccan build.
Yeah, no, and I mean, it makes sense if you think about it, because like that's, if you're thinking about like deck thinning and they do the opposite of deck thinning, right? They kind of like prevent you from drawing to some degree because they guarantee the draws, but they'll guarantee your 3 drops to some extent. Like they'll guarantee like, okay, we don't need to fill 1s or 2s that we don't want to hit. We just have a bunch of 3 drops we want to hit, and then we'll go from there. And so like, yeah, like Malekith from a power perspective as a 4-6 in theory should be above rate, because you're not going to be including Iceman and stuff like that in a deck that you're running with Malekith. You're going to be going with some of the more aggressive 1s, 2s, and 3s. And we'll start with one of the ones you have on the screen here, which is ideal, because of all the 3s, Sage is going to be one of the ones that gets revealed at the end of the game.
Yeah, it's funny. The cards that do best with them are the ones that have sort of the after effect that you're looking for, right? Like obviously something like a Zabu, a Psylocke trash tier, but when you have the Sages of the world, the Wolfsbane, these cards are wanting to be revealed later on. And man, remember we would talk about Sage way back before we even knew how good she would be. And we're like, it's kind of awkward. Like you have to play her late. Well, this allows you to play her somewhat on a curve. And if you build the deck right, you're able to get her out pretty reliably. And I don't think it's too hard to fit her into a lot of decks, right? As a core card to be able to be played down. you're trying to build these decks that have a lot of these cards that look that direction of feel safe whenever, wherever you play it. My mind also goes to a lot of tech options. Alex, I think things like Killmonger, Shadow King, these are just ones that it's like clearly, we've seen Invisible Woman and Killmonger kind of tech into a lot of packages now to deal with bounce. This is one that's just a clear-cut, easy favorite here. Maybe we could see the return of a Sarah Miracle that incorporates a Malekith in there because it just has all these pieces to work with, whatever it might be. But Alex, I want to bring up one in particular that I think might be one of my more favorite builds. And shocker, it's coming from me. Okay, shocker. But I think that Patriot here might have itself a really good chance to be a good Malekith card just because of the way, especially because you can see it now. When you couldn't see it, it had me worried with like Brood, something like that. But now that we can see it, I'm like, damn, I can't tell you how many times that I'm not able to pull down one of these cards like Patriot, like Debris maybe if you have, and you can play it around that space. I think there's some really interesting interactions, squirrels, whatever you might name it, to make sure that you get the value from Patriot, and then you get that body that's a 4/6, make a lot more sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of hits for Patriot. In fact, Patriot itself, we mentioned Mystique, right? You could play Mystique Patriot. Mr. Sinister is a good hit as well, because then because you can see it, you're like, okay, I got to leave 2 slots of space here, and you kind of go with it. Because there were decks. I mean, Mr. Sinister kind of fell out of in favor in Patriot decks simply because of the effect of Ultron. Ultron's buff kind of took it out, but it could potentially be a backup plan there or a different style of Patriot that's not necessarily reliant on Ultron. But ultimately, like, I think that there are so many 1s and 2s that really benefit from coming out late in the game. And I like to call it a Patriot as a 3-drop. But if I can go to the 2-drops here for a moment. And I was thinking about this, and I'm not saying I want to make Ronin a thing again, but I had a thought about Maximus, okay? Now, Maximus is now a 2-drop. People might have forgotten about that. It used to be a 3. But at 2/6, it is one of the most premium stat lines you can get in a 2. Naturally, of course. Of course, you have Thena and some other stuff that can get up above it, but just a 2/6 straight up Maximus is pretty good. Obviously, the on reveal of giving your opponent 2 cards is pretty significant. You don't want to just tempo out a Maximus. That feels awful. But in something like a Ronin deck, that doesn't matter. What really matters is popping their hand up or propping it up at the end of the game and then boosting your Ronin and Mystique. Those decks often run things like Cosmos in order to play Maximus on the Cosmo to not give them that effect if you have to play it like earlier on or whatever. But with something like Malekith, if you see Maximus come out and now you're getting not only 6 additional power, which is significant, but you're also going to be propping up their hand by 2 cards at the end of the game. That can help out your play, and maybe even the snap condition.
For sure, and then it also allows you to play Maximus in your deck, and he's kind of a fun like curve play at times. Like if they didn't play something down on 1, maybe even 2, you can look at it and you're like, wow, they're only going to get 1 extra card. I get the 2/6 out. Is that worth it? Yeah, and I have also, for that matter, another in-game high stat card that's just kind of works into Maximus's good stats, and that's a card that's fallen off kind of massively, and that's Gladiator outside of mill decks. The odds of him being played in a filled location go up obviously significantly. The cards he can pull go up significantly. So, you have this play down, and we got the 4/6 body, right? Immediately, we have a 14 power play per se at the end of the game. That's pretty big, man. That's a pretty big play there. Obviously, it can go catastrophic, but way less of a chance with Gladiator than before. But also just a good card-ish to be built into the decks that you don't feel bad about having, Alex. So I do like that option. What about 2, another 3 cost while I'm in here, man? Might be one of the best, and one of the best statistically right now. Could be in the underrated section that I'm going to talk about. And that's going to be our boy, and we knew he would settle into this role, Speed. I think Speed is a really cool option, maybe into that whole Domino kind of Quicksilver build, if you will, or even just as a base option here.
Buddy, way to ruin my #1 lead-in card for our next topic. Damn,
same.
Cozy,
I had absolutely
no chill. But yeah, no, Speed is actually it's a really good card because it's ongoing. The fact that you're playing kind of on tempo, using all your energy, will take into account. So it'll just absorb that power once it hits the field of play, right? It's a great call out, and this is one of those cards that honestly, by the way, it has a 54% win rate in post-infinite gameplay across the last 30 days of Marvel Snap. It's one of the highest win rate cards in Marvel Snap right now, just to give you a little bit of a sneak peek into our next topic. So you are absolutely right. Speed would love to get hit. And you know what? Even if you don't hit Speed and you play Speed, guess what? It's also just still a good card. You know what I mean? So yeah. I like this call out a lot here. And I want to give a quick shout out to a couple 1-drops that I think are worth discussing as well. Now, I want to give a shout out to Titania. Titania is one of those cards that I think, it's often tricky to play, and I think people shy away from it. You're seeing it being used in a lot of junk decks right now with something like a Green Goblin. You can play the Titania Green Goblin on top, and then essentially what happens is Green Goblin goes over, and if there's space, Titania can potentially block the lane off, which is nice. However, it's still a 1/5 stat line. And in a lot of decks where like traditional Taskmaster style decks, you often ran cards like Ebony Maw, which I guess could make this list too. But the key thing about it was you often tried to play Titania as the last card as just a 1/5. And if you were able to concede the initiative, you guaranteed that it would stay on your side. So it was just a straight up 1/5 power play. And so these very high impact 1-drops like Titania, Martyr, Ebony Maw would be very good hits with this card. Now with Martyr, I'm not sure if you know, Cozy, but if Martyr comes out at the end of the game, does she no longer attempt to lose you the game because the end of the game is already occurring?
Yeah, that's an interesting, it's at the end of the game. I feel like it still might try with the order of operations because of the way the text is. I don't know. There's a couple of these discussion points, like we don't have to talk about it too much, but I thought about, you know how they did that update not long ago where like Moon Knight, let's say, if a card got increased by Dream Dimension and it becomes like an even card, that card will now be discarded. So I'm like, Pixie, right? Will Pixie end up making these cards? If I make a Doctor Doom a 2-cost, does it rip that out? Does it make it a 2-cost? So there are some questions that I'm waiting for to see, how they work. Because if that's the case, my God, Pixie just gets yet another favorable option, that could be played down. Does it make the ultimate build? But just to take things back out of these questions, and if Martyr and Pixie are that way, I love the Ebony Maw call out, and I love it especially in kind of this War Machine style of decks, man. Because you've got something like this Maw coming out, or maybe a Jeff that could be played in there too. Those are both just fun, good options that work out.
Yeah, I mean, it's 1/7 stats. Like we were talking about Gladiator at 3/8 being an absolutely good hit, and the downside it has. With Ebony Maw, we're getting a lot of opportunities to like mitigate that downside. War Machine does it, Jeff does it, Ultron does it, the newly buffed Ultron, and then you have, obviously you have like Doctor Doom, you have all these methods to kind of compensate for the limitation, but Malekith loves this. It loves the idea of pulling this card out. In fact, I used to play Ebony Maw in my Super Invisible deck that I ran with Invisible Woman, because you could play Ebony Maw on top of Invisible Woman on turn 3 and then still repeatedly play on top. So if Ebony Maw is pulled by Malekith and it's face down, you could still play on top of it because it's not revealed yet.
Yeah, listen. First of all, that was an old call out, man. That deck, that was an oldie deck, man. That was a good one back in the early days of Snap. Well, there's one card that we haven't talked about that I think is just an archetype that the people that play it a lot, the people that don't never play it, and that is that whole Ajax build, because a lot of people obviously left Ajax to the wayside. So a couple 2-cost cards to mention. First of all, I think Hazmat is just like one of the most obvious cards, and a deck that doesn't have a lot of 1, 2s, and 3s outside of maybe the Luke Cage, which is also like, hey, sign me up. So like both of those kind of work out as a good play for Malekith, that I like that kind of curves in there very nicely. That Mystique thing you were talking about earlier, maybe you pull Mystique down, you see it's Mystique, then you're like, okay, I'm going to play Ajax now on 6 and then have that Mystique copy, right? Because we can see it. Or if it's the Hazmat, I'm going to play a little passively. I don't have a Luke Cage. Let them play down the cards. This is one of those bomb decks that I think you can really get advantage of. And as a quick shout out to this deck, also a lot of her White Widow's play rate and win rate went down the sink, and I think this is a interesting card. Little risky, but they don't have time to react to that -4 to destroy it. I like that.
Yeah, and the nice thing about White Widow too is it's like it can be a massive swing of just -4 power. Well, it's 6 power, technically 2 on your side, -4 on their side. And the nice thing about it's not like a Green Goblin. So if their location's full, the Widow's Bite or Widow's Kiss, just doesn't go anywhere. Like a Green Goblin would just stay on your side and like kick you right in the schnutz. But with White Widow, it doesn't really do much, right? I like the Hazmat color because you are right. That particular deck, it doesn't have too much competition on the higher range. It has a lot of good hits on the lower range. And so like, you do have the Man-Thing and stuff like that in those style of decks, which is obviously a 4-cost, which is what Malekith would be competing with. I think there's definitely room in those lists for a card like this as well. Now, I want to do a bit of a coping here. I know I got to use that term at least once a week here.
Please.
Cozy, I'm surprised you didn't bring him up, but I want to talk about Iron Lad for a second. And if you're talking about deck thinning, what you can talk about is Iron Lad, because now if you're going to be playing Malekith and you thin your deck, you more reliably are able to hit something with an Iron Lad. And whether or not this has kind of ramifications for decks that, have Hela in it or whatever, Tribunal or other decks that might want to utilize Iron Lad, by doing the deck thin, Iron Lad generally is played later in the game anyway. Yeah, you can throw it on turn 4 or whatever, but by reducing the amount of cards in your deck, you're giving increased odds for Iron Lad without having to run something like a Jeff. Or not a Jeff, I meant a Howard. Got the animals confused.
I like the call out. I do like the call out for Iron Lad. You mentioned discard and Hela. I've seen some stuff float around here. I think it'll end up just being kind of a cope cook with the whole, okay, well, if you pull out a, Calling Wing, a Lady Sif, obviously Morbius being a fantastic card that you could pull out. Okay, well, you've got Apocalypse that will be hit late from those, so it's almost always a good thing that you could get there. Kind of a weird body to put in there. Do you think there's a place in discard at all?
I kind of lean towards what your sentiment was probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, pulling a Blade late, Calling Wing late, Swarm, there's a lot of stuff you don't want to hit late. Morbius obviously, but I don't know, man. I think probably not, in my opinion.
And again, we're talking about all these combos. I think one of the best paths is this guy does thin your deck out, period, for the last 2 turns. So I think just building a base solid deck, getting the value out of the card, thinning the deck, getting access to your bigger cards, your win cards, your in conditions. Listen, that might be just a pure, easy way that we see Malekith get played. I also think just like period, point blank, Arisham's going to like the card. You're going to have way less agency of what that is, but you get to see what that is. And so, I think that's just going to be an interesting way to build around it. I know people have their feelings about Airsham, but you can't, you just simply can't ignore it. But I want to kind of leave the conversation here and just ask, Surfer is one of those that I see talked about a lot. Alex, as the Surfer guy, what do you think about him in these Surfer builds?
I'm not a fan. I could be wrong, but for me, it seems as though Silver Surfer has too many cards that want to be on the field of play. The delayed gratification hit isn't always necessary. Something like a Sage doesn't really work. A lot of the best Silver Surfer decks still do the tried, tested, and true Brood, Absorbing Man style combinations. It's a very active deck. You don't even often see Sage in those lists, even though Sage obviously would get to a tremendous power being played late in the game. It's technically competing for a slot, which is similar to what Gwenpool was occupying.
Yeah.
But if you think about what Gwenpool is doing in a deck like that, Gwenpool has a lot of really good hits in Sebastian Shaw, Brood, and etc., whereas Malekith doesn't. So for me, it's like in the Silver Surfer style stuff, I'm a little more hesitant. I'd be surprised if it was a major impact player.
Well, to close the discussion here, I want to bring up one other area that I do like Malekith, not talked about a lot. I try to think of all the ways you could play a card, and what I like here is locations, big time, right? We've got destroy locations. You got a Death Domain. It's an on-reveal card. It's adding that card. So because you're adding the card, you're able to play it into destruction locations, into Quantum Tunnel Realm, these awkward locations of getting that power that you just want. You just want your cards for what they do, and the location messes with it. So I think that's a sneaky way that this card's going to get that value, is that you're able to sneak that in there, possibly at the end of the game or just on curve, where all of a sudden you're getting a lot more use out of it. And there's so many more. Mojo World, there's a lot of these locations that start to add up, and I think he's a big location winner.
And what's interesting about him too is I had this thought, if you pull a 1-drop, it can't really be Killmongered, right? That's valuable. They're not going to play a Alioth on a Malekith card. They're like, what 3-drop really warrants an Alioth? Maybe against Surfer or something like that. But again, we just finished saying that it's unlikely to make those types of decks. And so I feel like the card is generally going to sit there safe and be able to just do its thing, right? Obviously the on reveal, if it's something like an Iceman or whatever, is irrelevant. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's the Sage or the Wolfbane or the Silver Surfer or whatever it is that has that major board-wide impact. Killmonger would be great, considering we have decks that run Invisible Woman right now in the Sarah Control style decks, just so that you can, take that flipped initiative on the bounce decks and kind of throw it back in their face by Killmongering at the end of the game, right? So yeah, there's a lot of value here.
Man, I really just want to go and bring back Cozy on the street and ask as many people as possible, is this guy from Lord of the Rings or is he from Marvel? And just see how many people assume this is one of Sauron's henchmen. We're going to talk about our next subject here. The next subject is a section I like to call overrated or underrated. And essentially, we're going to just talk about cards that we think are overrated in terms of popularity, statistic-wise, also just opinion, and underrated, the sleepers, the ones that we like to bring up. And if you haven't been listening to a while, we've been hitting the nail on the head. We've been doing pretty well. I heard Patrick Mahomes use that statement the other day. I was smiling ear to ear. we've done pretty well on sleepers, Alex. We've done well on cards that aren't seeing play, and then, you know, if you listen early, you get ahead early, you're able to play these sleepers. It's like fantasy football. If you don't get them, they're going to be gone. It's going to be too late. So Alex and I are going to give our underrated cards. And Alex, let's start with overrated. I think that's a good one. This one gets people heated, so let's start there. Overrated. Let's kick it off with you. Give me one overrated card.
Cannonball. I think Cannonball's overrated.
Okay.
I don't think the card's nearly as good as it used to be. I think that the Scream decks are good because Scream is good. Cannonball's not destroying anything anymore. Yes, it's displacing things, but it's not doing the effect. Without the classic Professor X, this card is not what it used to be. Still being played a lot, but for me, it's overrated.
I feel like, too, because of where the meta shifted a little bit. Like, we were in a time where Zoo decks were everywhere. I mean, just such a huge part of the meta. And because that's taken a step back, we've seen now Cannonball decks not get that even any of that impact from the Professor X. I'd be curious if they brought him back with what they did to Storm. Probably not. I think there's a couple cards we can safely say aren't going to go back to their original designs, and Pro X is probably on that list. I like that. That's a good way to start things off, get things heated. And listen, I got a couple on this list that they're feelings based, but they're more or less like I have to remove my feelings and just look at the statistics. I've got one to kick it off a little spicy. It's a card I like to play too, so it was hard to pick this one. I think Magic might be pretty overrated. And why I think this is no reason of my own other than pure statistics. This is on a 30-day level, all ranks, and we've got Magic at only... Magic has almost a 20%, so 1 in 5 games almost have a Magic involved. 50%, barely 50%, by the way, on the button win rate. In comparison to other cards, that's extremely low, especially by popularity. That's one of the lowest. I thought that was kind of interesting. Having Magic in your deck could be worse.
It doesn't surprise me because with Magic, you're giving up so much tempo on turn 3, 4, or 5. Like, God forbid you play it on turn 5 at this point. There's been so much power creep in the 3 cost that, like, it is heartbreaking to play Magic, right? Because they get such a huge advantage. And then, like, we got so many well-scaled decks, like Dina's and all these things. It just scales so effectively from the early game that they're like, oh, I have a 7th turn. Okay, I got stuff to do. Like in the old days of Magic where you played it on turn 6 and then they were like, bro, what am I going to do now? I just played my thing. Now I got nothing in the barrel, right?
Yeah.
That's not the same way now. Like people, like the decks are so tight that like there's always a play. So I like this call it a lot because like I still like to play Magic, but it feels so much more risky now, and not from like they're gonna take Limbo away. It's like risky from I'll never catch up. I'll never financially recover from this. Is the way I feel when I play Magic.
Well, how about you switch it up on me and go and do an underrated here? Give me an underrated card that you think is a little bit of a sleeper that could go up.
Well, I was going to talk about Speed. We kind of poked at him before. Speed running a 55% win rate at 3% of the meta. Absolutely remarkable statistics from this card. He is just so good. Speed's great. We already talked about it. But okay, if we're going to do a bit of a deep cut, I have been playing lots of discard lately just because I want to, and no one's doing the missions for our guild there. So I'm trying to, help out the team a little bit. Proxima Midnight, I gotta say, is so underrated. This card is so good. I know it's not one you probably expect me to talk about, but its ability to reach into locations, its ability to just be an extra kind of proc for Morbius. I've had situations where I've had to use it to get like, it gets hit by Dracula, right? Which is kind of cool in terms of the power play done there. I think Proxima Midnight is honestly underappreciated right now. Like we got Scorn, we got these fancy tools for discard, but like it's a 4/7 that finds its way onto the board, and sometimes it's exactly what you need.
Yeah, I like to call this a card being played that is underrated, right? Like, people are playing the card, but it's not getting the respect that it does deserve. But what I find so interesting is discard as a whole, Alex. It's like the discard community finds the one deck that's working and everybody shifts over there, right? So maybe it's Hela for the stint, a dependable discard gets a cold shoulder. And then, funny enough, on my underrated section, I thought maybe we were going to line up yet again with another card. Mine was Black Knight. Black Knight, this is a card everybody lines in together with. We've got a 55% win rate when this thing does get played, but it's less than 1% right now in the last 30 days. Less than 1. That's a crazy lopsided statistic here. And I think it's just a underrated card. I think there are ways to play it. Obviously, we did get a big nerf to Ebony Blade, and with the increase of Shadow King, one of the more played cards in the game, obviously it's going to be tough here, but I think that's kind of wild.
Yeah, it's a good thing that Shadow King got buffed, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I was seeing absolutely no play. But anyway, that's a whole other conversation. Black Knight is great. It's a great card. And like it had its heyday. And then when they changed the power can't be reduced part of the Ebony Blade, it kind of completely fell off. Because I think people were a little scared. It still can't be destroyed. It still has a lot of versatility there. And it's a shame because I think that with Black Knight, you were playing things like Ghost Rider. Like it's so fascinating to think that like when specific cards bring new archetypes into the fold, like cards like Ghost Rider and stuff that you don't often play, they get brought in too. And so like I think it's healthy for the meta if something like a Black Knight is viable because it gives these different flavors of how things can be played, and it's way more interactive than something like a Hela. Like if I'm gonna pick a discard deck to be the primary way to play discard, I don't want Hela to be the way, honestly. I'd rather have Black Knight. I'd rather have Dependable Discard because those feel much more fun to play. Can I do another underrated card before we move on? Because I got one I'm just dying to talk about.
What you got?
I feel like I talk about it all the time, but Grandmaster deserves more respect. Okay, it's a 2/3 at this point.
Okay.
It is such a phenomenal card. I love Grandmaster. I put it into so many decks, and the first thing people ask me is, how do I sub Grandmaster? Because they don't have it. And I understand keys are expensive. You're not gonna spend tokens on it because it's a bit of hopium. But like Grandmaster is legit a great card. It's so good. I've been loving it, and I feel like it's underrated.
Hey, I like it. I like some of the way, like, funny enough, what I try to do is, I like the way that you're going with cards that are played, but could get way more love behind them. And we saw that even with Shadow King the pre-days. Like, he was being played a little bit, but we were like, hey, guys, play him more. Play him more. He should be played more here. And I agree, Grandmaster, the stuff you can chain off, kind of almost feels like Odin now is to the wayside. And you can really use Grandmaster to serve a lot of the role that you're trying to get out of him. Definitely a good pick there. Another underrated, this one is surprising to me. I'm going to go with High Evo Classic. The classic builds of High Evo, Alex, are pushing damn near 60% win rates of all ranks put together. It's 57.5, so not quite there. But the classic builds, and it's, hold on now, let me get the right statistic. It's only 1.8% currently of Marvel Snap's meta. That's crazy. That's really good statistics, man. This could go up even more with the Hazmat build with Malekith and the kind of the Abomination build. I think this is a while for a deck that was once the absolute, star child of Marvel Snap.
Yeah, no, this was one of the absolute top decks, and like one of the top performing cards was Wasp. Remember, Wasp used to hit 2 cards and stuff like that. I actually had been experimenting with a classic High Evolutionary deck where I was running Frigga in it. Because I had this thought of like, hey, I could copy Cyclops and play Cyclops on 4. And now you have 2 Cyclopses pew-pewing all over the place. And it's just extra value, but it's a little slow, right? Or turn 5, that would have been the extra pew-pews. And but yeah, I do like High Evo a lot. And I feel like it's just out of meta relevance. And when I was testing it, like Hulk was still getting to like 18 power. I didn't need to run Infinite. Like it was getting to like 18 power. Abomination was regularly 1 or 0. Like it actually has, it runs like a pretty well-oiled machine. Luke Cage isn't being played that much. The challenge is that we've had so many crazy combo decks come out that like, it's hard, even with an 18 Hulk, it's hard to win 2 locations on turn 6 because you got Thena's popping off, Searchers over here. Like there's so much power going down right now. It's like High Evo in and of itself just doesn't compete power-wise in a sustained way like some of the other decks currently do.
Well, as a quick shout out too, I'll just, snowball this in here. Red Hulk right now is only around a 3% play rate across the entire meta of Marvel Snap, 55% win rate. So you are getting a really good win rate if you play the card. But that is the lowest we've seen him at in a long time, which means it's a good time to play High Evo.
Yeah, no question, right? Like, it's the rock, paper, scissors type thing, which I know I just tilted you saying it in the wrong order. But you have the Red Hulk, right, which is supposed to counteract the High Evo. If it's not in the meta, you can definitely play High Evo as much as you want without that much fear. And realistically, we're not seeing much Mobius and Mobius, so the Abomination style builds, they're fine, So I do like the call out.
What did you call it? Rock? What did you call it?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, that's what that's the normal way to say.
That's the normal way? Rock, paper, scissors?
What do you say?
Rock, scissors, paper.
No. Well, okay. Yep. There's you. Do you eat a Reese's with a spoon while you say that?
I do, actually, right out of the freezer.
Let's go to Overrated a little bit, buddy, and then we'll move on to the subjects. Listen, I came here to pick some heat, and one of them is against a card that I love, and you mentioned it earlier. I like the card, but damn it, if I look at the statistics, it has me a bit worried, a bit sad, and maybe a bit overrated. Iron Lad, holy crap, 50% win rate, nearly 49%. That is awful at a 5% popularity. So he's being played, but gosh, he's not doing what he used to do, and that's for a number of reasons. But dude, between him and Magic, I tried to pick a couple cards that I'm like, wow, maybe I should be taking these cards out of my decks. That's the whole point of this segment, guys, is to encourage you guys to maybe take some things out and put some things in. Are you shocked by Iron Lad at 50%?
That actually does shock me. But at the same time, like the meta around 4-drops has shifted in such a way where like the 4/6 line on Iron Lad is just not enough. It's just not enough. Now, what benefits Iron Lad slightly is the reduction of play of the Darkhawk based decks with the change to Rock Slide recently. But still, it just doesn't punch well enough yet. It's just not punching up enough right now, considering how much power is being put down at the 4 cost. Heck, even Crossbones is seeing play right now after its buff and everything like that. So yeah, Iron Lad just feels like it hasn't quite kept up.
What else you got? I got a couple last overrateds. What else you got?
Yeah, if you want to talk about an absolute garbage ass card, there's a card that I was thinking about that I think is completely overrated, and I can't believe anybody would ever play it. It's actually seeing play in the Scream decks, which disgusts me. But like, can we take a second to just appreciate how brutal Arrow is? Arrow is such a trash tier card. I don't know why anybody in their right mind would would play it. B, I don't know why anyone would even like the card. I think it should be removed from Marvel Snap as a whole. And C, I think that if you're the kind of person that's ever, gone on record to say that you actually love Arrow and it's your waifu in Marvel Snap, I think you should like take a look in the mirror, give your head a damn shake. Because this card is pure garbage. It needs to be removed from Marvel Snap. And if you're putting it in your Scream decks, you are huffing so much copium that you need to seek some medical help immediately.
Why are you the way that you are? Next up after that, we have a couple that I was shocked at, and I'm going to rapid fire through these in consideration of Thanos, or of time. What the hell? Thanos, though, is the one I was going to bring up. Thanos at a 48% win rate. That's right, 48, Alex. That is not good. That is not a good win rate, and he is getting played, so definitely overrated in the sense of his popularity. That one shocked me. And then a couple quick fires, as I said before, Darkhawk at 48% as well. Pretty bad, but being played a fair amount. And then lastly on my end, Shuri. Shuri is only at a 50%. Again, just like Magic, barely pushing that. And I think we've talked about this before. It's kind of because of the day and age that we are in Snap, right? There's not a lot you can do to fix her too, because you can't make her lower cost, and you got some weird stuff with like Symbiote, Spider-Man, whatever. Not exactly a banger of a card at the moment.
It's crazy to think that a card that completely broke the meta in the past, that doubled power, isn't good enough anymore. It's like, crazy. What has happened out here, man? I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing. People talk about the two evils of card games at TCGs. You either get power creep or you have to do rotations. Yeah. Like, those are the things that have to happen, right? If things are to stay fresh. In terms of overrated, Cozy, if you want to close it out, I got a card that I want to talk about being overrated. This might be a really hot take because it's seeing a ton of play right now. I think Zabu sucks. Like, I still think this card's not good. I don't care. Dude, no, I don't care if you pull the Mufasa variant on the screen. This card is garbage. I still don't think it's good. It's seeing garbage. A 49% win rate at almost a 10% play rate, nearly a negative cube rate. Dude, this card is poo. The only reason why people are playing it is because the supporting cast that the deck it's in is too good. Yeah. Like, the supporting cast in this card is garbage. It's just everything around it is overpowered.
It's such a good, no, what it is it's such a good coin flip, right? So in the sense of like, if you open your hand up and you've got Zabu and you don't see your fours, it's like, man, you're going to go way above that statistic you just listed. But then you open up, or you don't even get them, and you've got three of the fours in your opening hand, then you're bringing that statistic way down. So he's so worth it to have in those decks because of that coin flip being so heavily favored, right? But I do understand. I also love, like, I respect the disrespect over there. Like, I'm like, I know you might like Iron Lad, but, he's just not a good card. You're like, this card's just pure ass. This card just, I like it. I like the passion. I do like the passion. To end it on my end, dude, Scream as an underrated card. Just quick note, 57% win rate, Alex. 57. Only 3.8% popularity. And I think that's just because only 3.8% people in Snap right now own the card because they have saved up for the other ones. But Alex, that does bring us to our last segment, my friend, and that is today's game. And that is what I like to call the popularity game. Is it popular? Is it not? We're going to talk all about cards' popularity, and I mean their play rate in Marvel Snap. Are they played? Are they not? Where are they landing? And we're looking at all the ranks combined last 30 days. You guys know the drill here. I'm going to be putting Alex to the test. not only on the popular side, but also more on statistic sides, looking at pool 1, 2, 3. How good's your memory? Remembering specific pools and or series numbers, we'll have to see. All right, first up, Alex. We've got a card right now that is at 0.1%. You know what they say there? That means that nobody except one person probably is even playing this card. Is it Kang, Leader, or Drax? And then a couple other information there. Average cubes is negative 0.12 and a 46.3% win rate. Who is it?
First of all, I just want to make known here that he did not tell me this in advance, and I did not have a chance to study. So I am purely going off of like.
Of course you did. Of course you didn't. No one goes on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and they ask a question like, "Sir, I didn't study this category." Like, of course not. You need to be prepared. This is your job.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair, buddy. I can't wait to do a game show on you, bud. I'm gonna
Kang,
actually roast
Leader, Drax. 20 seconds.
Drax. I'm going with Drax.
Final answer?
It feels like Drax numbers. It feels like Drax numbers.
It is Drax numbers. Correct. Right off the rip, Alex starts with a 1-0, guys. Clap in the air where you're at on your way to work. Give him a hell yeah. We got our next one up, and that is going to be I didn't write down other cards to compare it to. So this is called the Flyer. I will not deduct your points here, okay? You're not gonna get this. Let me say this. It's a series 1 card, okay? Average cubes plus 0.11, 52% win rate, 0.5% popularity. So almost no one plays this card. Who is it?
Misty Knight.
Damn, I would have lost my mind. It's White Queen. It's White Queen. So hey, listen, that's that's the flavor pick. But it's my bad not writing down other options. Let's continue on. We've got Valentina, Mirage, or Omega Red with the popularity at 0.7%. Who am I? Valentina.
This is the worst.
Valentina, Mirage.
Valentina,
Mirage. Think on it.
Okay.
Or Mega Red, 0.7%.
I mean, for me, of those cards, I would lean. It would have to be Valentina. No, it can't be. I bet you Valentina's is higher. I bet you it's Omega Red.
Final answer.
I hate when you ask me that. Yes.
Dude, you're 2 for 2. I can't believe you got that one. That's impressive. I thought you maybe would have gone Mirage there, or Valentina for that matter. Yeah, Omega Red. Talk about. I wanted to put him in the underrated section. But I think at this point, it's just proven that like he's just maybe not consistent enough. With Storm's changed to way worse. I don't know, just awkward at his stat line. I remember when we got his updated notes before he released. Elena was like, this might be too good. And then it just wasn't. It just didn't end up being that. Anyway, we've got next up, popularity 8.6%. Ooh, it's a high number here. Kate Bishop, Sage, or Brood?
Oh, man, that's actually hard. That is so hard. I bet you Kate Bishop's higher. I bet you Brood is lower. No, I wouldn't say that, maybe. Wait, now who's the third option? The right answer?
Kate Bishop, Sage, or Brood?
It's probably Sage. It feels like Sage because I think it's seeing experimentation and bounce and stuff like that. And I think that's approximately the meta share for those decks.
It's Kate Bishop. Unfortunately, you got the 2 for 1. It was funny, though. You did call that. So Brood was lower. So it was, and to be fair, Sage and Kate are close. They are close. They're neck and neck there. So that was a tough one. It's okay. You're 2-1. You're doing great. You might run away with this with your new vehicle. We have a lot of vehicles, Oda Alex, at this point. Put it in writing. We're gonna move right along here, and I'm gonna say, oh man, I don't know if you'll get this one. Do you remember a lot of Pool 1 cards?
I try to, yeah.
All right. Name 2 of the 3. I'll give you a half a point if you name just one of them. Actually, you're gonna name one of them. So 2 of the 3. Top 3 most popular Pool 1 cards right now.
Man, what kind of question is this, man? Like, that is so hard.
Well, it's
Iron Man number 1.
Okay.
Iron Man has to be number 1. Damn it. Who else would it be? Is Iron Man right?
Continue, sir.
Come on, man. Okay. Continue. Oh, man. Pool 1. Who else would be a really good Pool 1 card? Damn. I don't know, man. Right now, shoot. Just thinking right through the list here. I want to say Hulk, but no, it can't be because Hulk isn't being played that much in the high Evo base builds. Can you give me a hint on cost?
We have a 3, a 1, and a 2. So Iron Man is not there. I think he's number 4 or 5.
Are you kidding me? Iron Man's not even on there?
He's 4 or 5. He's very high, but he's not on.
Oh my gosh. If Iron Man's not there, I think I'm out of luck, man.
I just told you 3 cost, a 1 cost, and a 2 cost.
I mean, right now, man, could
the
it
3
be...
cost should be easy. You should get the 3 cost right now.
Really?
Yes.
Well, now I'm scared because I don't know what it is.
It is in order. Cosmo at number one.
No.
Blade
Yes,
at number 2. I already said Cosmo. You're taking too long. We got to move along,
Okay,
sir.
I'm gonna say, for the one drop, I would say maybe Iceman.
I just said Blade, but close. So Cosmo, Blade, who's the 2 drop? And it's in the theme of that.
Cosmo, Blade, who's Morbius?
I screwed you up with that. Don't worry about in the theme of. Just give me another 2 drop. That's not
I was
Morbius.
gonna say, isn't Morbius a pool 2 card?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not even sure.
He is.
Man, I don't even know. I give up. It can't be Colin Wing. She's
You're like,
3.
wait, I didn't answer. I need another 50 seconds to derail. It's armor, Cosmo, Blade, and Cosmo, Blade, and armor are the top 3. It's okay. We're gonna move right along. I'm not gonna take the points against you on that one because I'm a nice guy.
Dude, that was so unfair. That was such a hard question.
There's more coming. So Super Scroll, Agony, Doctor Strange. Super Scroll, Agony, Doctor Strange. This card has a 3.5% popularity.
That would be Doctor Strange.
3.5%.
Yeah, I think so. I think Little Movers is doing something right now, and it should be more, but I don't think it is because it's good enough that people play it, but not good enough that a lot of people play it.
This blew my mind. It is Agony. People are playing this card.
Come on.
People, I know, dude. I put that together because I knew you wouldn't get that. I was like, he's not picking Agony. I was like, I could put any card here, and he's going to go with not Agony on that answer. All right, hold on. Most popular card in the game currently, Cosmo, Shang-Chi, Agent Venom. 22.3%, almost a fifth of games being played with this card.
I would go Agent Venom here. It has to be, right?
We like to call this the layup question, and Alex ain't good at basketball, my friends. It is not Agent Venom. It is Shang-Chi right now at a 20. Listen, guys, listen.
Falling apart. The wheels are coming off.
The wheels are off. You're skidding on the side of the road. But we're going to keep going on. These are going to be your chance to redeem yourself. It's triple the points here and quadruple if you play your cards right and take me out to dinner. Top 3 most popular Series 2 cards are who? This should be easier. This should be easier. This should be easier.
It should be easier, but
Yes.
I gotta first of all, I gotta remember.
You named
what's
one
popular.
earlier. You named one earlier.
Like Morbius?
Yes. There you go. He's number 3. Look at everyone. Golf clap for Alex there. Okay, number 3. 2 other ones. Popular. Dude,
Okay.
think about it.
Man, you're saying think about because you have the answers. I gotta remember what Series 2 cards are right now. Like that's so damn hard. I'm trying to think. Could Infinite be one of them?
Oh, dude, Infinite was 4, so I feel for you there, but it's not.
Oh, Infinite was 4. Okay, I'm still thinking here. Oh, damn, man. I don't know. Series 2. Killmonger has to be up there.
Yes, thank God. Okay, Killmonger's there. Okay, yep, and you're gonna hate yourself for the last one here. It's
Come on, I got like the first top 4.
It's
Like, this
very
is pretty
obvious.
good so
It's
far.
a very obvious.
It's
card.
very obvious.
It's very obvious.
How can it be very? It's very obvious because you're looking at the answer key, dude.
Listen, when
me a
I
hint.
was
I need a hint. I don't
when
got
I was the
anything
age
off
of
the top of my
10, I like when I could count on my parents' wedding rings, I would know this card.
Come on.
That's it.
I'm just thinking.
Yeah, 10 rings. I don't know.
There's a couple tech pieces that came into play. Shang-Chi came in at Shang-Chi's pool. Wait, Shang-Chi is pool 2, no? Wait, is it Shang-Chi?
It's actually, I said
I was
10
gonna say,
rings.
he is pool 2 because I was thinking in my head Rogue, but Rogue's Series 3.
Hey, you nailed it. You're a champion. That's why I was like, he's going to hate himself if he doesn't get it. All right, last couple ones here. We've got, this is a fun one. Because we're going to talk about series drops on your end. So you may not know Series 4 cards, but I'll go ahead and give it a whirl. You know the top 3 most played Series 4 cards at the moment?
Oh, man. Nebula.
Okay.
Is she on there?
No.
Come on. Oh, damn it. Series 4 cards now. Ravonna?
Okay.
No? No? Come on. No Ravonna either. Dark Hawk has to be there.
Okay.
Is he on there?
No.
Okay, I'm donezo, bud. Now I'm actually in shambles. If you're telling me that Dark Hawk's not there, then I don't know what to do. Because that definitely should be there. Hold on. Let me just think here for a sec. Oh, man. Ghost Spider. Ghost Spider Series 4.
All right.
No. Okay, I'm donezo. I don't know, buddy.
Zabu, Kitty Pryde, and Noel were the answers I was looking for. We're going to end with the last one. Most popular Series 5 cards is who? This one is
Series
a
5.
layup. This one's more of a layup. You like.
Do you say that, and it's like you're just
I
setting
said that
up
for Shang-Chi.
embarrassment.
I said that for Shang-Chi. I mean, we're past embarrassment at this point. We've moved past the chains of embarrassment.
I would say Cassandra Nova, if I had to guess.
Okay.
Agent Venom, does he count, or is that still season
He
pass?
counts. No, he counts.
Counts. Okay, Agent Venom's definitely there. I think Cassandra Nova's there. Other Series 5 cards. Okay, Surtur would be too new, I'm assuming, so it wouldn't be there. Damn, I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all. That third one, I'm not sure.
You definitely, if you thought about it, you could definitely get both one of these at least.
Yeah.
Think about, like, we just did Series 5 as a subject on the Snapchat a couple weeks ago. We talked about a couple cards on there. They were both mentioned.
They were both mentioned?
Yeah.
Oh, damn it. Man,
But they're the
I'm
most
not
popular,
sure.
so of course they would.
Okay, I'm just thinking here. This is sad because like this is the most popular. Can you give me a hint? Give me a hint, Cozy.
Both
Also,
hints
was Cassandra Nova on it or no?
No, but Age of Venom was. So you have two you're missing. So they came out. They both came out over a year ago.
Over a year ago.
That's a good hint,
Wow.
too. You're welcome.
Yeah, it is a good hint, which just adds to the embarrassment of me not knowing.
It's
Over
not
a year ago. Series 5. Jeff, the baby. No, Jeff's on the way down. Oh, could it be Jeff? Can't be Jeff, right? That's a question that you can qualify or not. Okay, I'm donezo then. I'm not sure. I'm going to be so embarrassed with this too.
Nico, Manaru, and Alioth being the most played after Agent Venom. Folks, that's going to conclude today's segment. Give it up for Alex, our contestant. Listen, the man has walked away with cars. He's walked away with fame and riches today. He's just walking away with his chin down, but it's okay,
Yeah,
guys.
just walking away with shame.
It's okay.
Dude, that was so hard though, and the
It
worst
is.
part is not calling like Alioth is like so silly. Like I should have been able to pick up on Alioth because it's the Series 5 cards that everyone's playing. It's like it's so heartbreaking.
It is.
Man, I gotta study next time. But you didn't even tell me we were doing a show.
I did
I
not.
found out like as we went live.
You did. That's what shows are all about. Guys, you can go ahead and check out Alex's side of the Snapchat. We're going to be talking about series drop some more. We're going to be talking about Frigga and Surtur in review. And thank you guys for coming. Have a good one. Have a great one. Till the next one. Happy snapping. Bye-bye. Bye. Goodbye.